It is 11 p.m., and you are staring at a $200 jacket you do not need but deeply want. And then you see the small green button offering 4 interest-free payments of $50, a simple promise that you can own the jacket today and let your future self handle the rest. Yet 2 weeks later, you forget about the payment because you are busy and already juggling 3 other pay and 4 purchases that also slipped your mind. And this scenario is not rare, but increasingly common in a financial landscape where buy now, pay later services have exploded in popularity, with 41% of users missing at least one payment in the past year, a figure that represents nearly half of the user base participating in a system designed to feel like a favor while operating as a fee-generating machine. And this is the central concern examined by Nick Invests, a channel focused on understanding how companies have turned debt into what appears to be a lifestyle upgrade rather than a liability. As the buy now, pay later industry has grown from a $2 billion niche in 2019 to more than $127 billion in 2026, an expansion that resembles a financial wildfire rather than steady growth, with the American market alone reaching over $107 billion in 2025 and projected to climb to $258 billion by 2031, and more than 86 million Americans now using these services, roughly 1 in 4 adults, while holiday spending between November and Cyber Monday in 2025 reached $10.1 billion through buy now, pay later platforms, marking a 9% increase from the previous year. Yet behind these impressive figures lie troubling indicators, as nearly 24% of users have made a late payment according to the Federal Reserve, up from 18% the year before, while other research shows 29% have missed a payment at some point. And among Gen Z users, the rate is even higher, with LendingTree reporting that 41% of users made a late payment in the past year compared to 34% previously, and only 47% of users plan their payments ahead of time, while the remainder either track loosely or lose track altogether, meaning more than half of participants do not clearly know how much they owe or when it is due, despite the widespread belief that these loans are harmless because they are marketed as interest-free, a claim that is only accurate for short-term pay in 4 arrangements and only if payments are made on time, as missing a payment with Afterpay can result in an $8 fee or 25% of the transaction, whichever is less, turning a single missed $50 installment into an immediate penalty, while Klarna generated $472 million in what competitors labeled junk fees in 2024, representing 7% of its revenue from late fees, reminder fees, and even snooze fees that allow users to pay to delay payments, and longer-term financing through companies such as Affirm can carry rates up to 36%. APR comparable to credit card interest but wrapped in more appealing marketing, yet the financial cost extends beyond fees into behavioral changes driven by psychology, particularly the pain of paying phenomenon, where splitting a $200 cost into 4 $50 payments reduces the psychological discomfort associated with spending, leading consumers to perceive the price as $50 rather than $200, a shift that has measurable consequences as businesses offering buy now, pay later options see sales increase by approximately 27%, not because consumers suddenly need more products, but because the payment structure makes higher spending feel manageable, and even those who pay on time are likely spending more overall, as illustrated by a common scenario where a shopper with an $80 budget buys $120 shoes because the cost appears as $30 today, then adds $40 socks and $60 shorts, leaving the site having committed to $220 while only feeling the immediate impact of 55, and this pattern multiplied across months results in 60% of users carrying multiple loans simultaneously and nearly 1 in 4 managing 3 or more active loans at once, a form of loan stacking that creates numerous small obligations that collectively become overwhelming, a trend that has extended beyond discretionary purchases into essentials, with 25% of users now financing groceries, compared to 14% the previous year, and 1/3 of Gen Z users financing supermarket trips, even enabling services such as DoorDash to be paid in installments, effectively allowing consumers to finance a single meal, a development some experts have described as dystopian because it signals reliance on debt for necessities and impulse purchases, indicating either an inability to afford essentials outright or a detachment from the reality of spending actual money, and this progression often follows a predictable path beginning with legitimate emergencies, followed by routine discretionary purchases, leading to multiple concurrent loans, tighter monthly budgets, the temptation to use new loans to cover existing obligations, missed payments, accumulating fees, and an ongoing cycle of paying for past purchases while financing current needs, compounded by the fact that many of these loans do not immediately appear on credit reports, enabling consumers to accumulate substantial phantom debt until default brings consequences. While the average user now spends about $244 per month through these services, a 21% increase year over year, funds that could otherwise support savings, retirement contributions, or repayment of other debts, and data from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau indicates that users are more likely to have subprime credit scores and carry higher balances on unsecured debt, averaging $871 more in credit card debt and $450 more in personal loans than non-users, with more than half admitting they used the service to make purchases they otherwise could not afford, reflecting not strategic cash management, but extended living beyond means. And although 50% of Gen Z and millennials prefer buy now, pay later over credit cards due to the perception of lower costs, credit cards at least involve credit checks, spending limits, single monthly due dates, and established consumer protections, whereas buy now, pay later approvals are instant, limits are fragmented, due dates scattered, and regulatory safeguards historically limited, effectively granting widespread access to debt with minimal friction. And the design elements such as bright green buttons, simplified payment displays, and near-universal approval are intentional features aimed at reducing hesitation and maximizing transaction volume, with merchants paying transaction fees of 4 to 6%, compared to approximately 2.5% for credit cards because the increased sales volume of 20 to 30% justifies the higher cost, underscoring that the primary beneficiaries are businesses and service providers rather than consumers, and the recommended response emphasizes awareness and restraint, beginning with a full accounting of active loans and due dates, halting the initiation of new loans until existing ones are cleared, consolidating scattered payments into a clear recognition of total debt, acknowledging that if an item cannot be afforded without installment financing, it may not be affordable at all, and treating reliance on these services for necessities as an urgent signal of budgetary strain, because the broader issue is not simply the presence of a payment option, but the normalization of debt as convenience, the erosion of the pain of paying that traditionally prompts caution, and the long-term shaping of financial habits that equate consumption with delayed accountability, a shift that risks creating a generation accustomed to constant borrowing, rather than disciplined spending. And as highlighted throughout this analysis on Nick Invests, the fundamental truth remains that buy now, pay later always requires payment eventually, whether in money, fees, stress, or altered financial behavior, and the most prudent decision may sometimes be to decline the installment option, close the tab, and wait until the full amount can be paid without compromise.